Jade, I have a question.
I know you heard me sing.
What is the best way to reach preteens?
The best way to reach preteens?
Yeah.
Well, I think first and foremost, it's to be real with them. Young people can sniff out fake. Like, especially the younger they are, the more they can sniff it out. They know when your motives are impure. They know when you're just trying to get numbers. So I think the first and the greatest way is to be authentic, to be real in your love for them. Because if you're trying to reach them, I'm assuming it's because you care, and you love them. So I think that's the number one most strategic way to reach a preteen, is to be authentic in your love. But secondly, this is true like everywhere, like culturally. This is true, everywhere you go, and in every situation, every workplace, every school, every country, every program. You have to speak their language. So for a preteen, a lot of preteens are on Snapchat. A lot of preteens say things like, what?
Who's me?
Whose man's? And like, I didn't even know what that meant, but my nephew said it to me, who just happened to break out of the preteen mode and is now 13. And he said to me, I think I had just come back from Africa, and I was like, we don't waste water in this house. Drink that water. And he was like, whose man's? And I was like, what? And he taught me what whose man's meant. He taught me what looking like a snack meant. And of course, I don't go around, saying, looking like a snack, or, I don't but I'll be funny to relate to them. And even if I use it wrong and I embarrass myself, they know I'm trying to speak their language, and it opens a door. It opens up a heart. And when somebody comes from another country, and I can tell they're trying to speak English, and it's very broken, and it's bad, it's like my heart opens, because I'm like, you're trying to speak my language. And I've realized, when I was in Africa, even when I'm in Mexico, when I try to speak Spanish, even when I make a mistake, it's like their love for you grows, because it's like you're trying to speak my language. You aren't forcing me to learn your way and forcing me to learn how you talk and do it that way, but you're actually coming into my world the best that you can, and you're willing to embarrass yourself. So I can be preaching and I'll just throw in a whose man's. I'll be preaching and I'll just throw in, he was probably looking like a snack. I'll be preaching and I just throw in a little, and these things just open, boom, you throw the door wide open. She can't even dance, but she tried. She didn't even use that in context, but that was funny. And like on Snapchat, I'm learning to use like glowing text and unnecessary emojis, things that are really irrelevant. I'm learning to use them to speak the language, because I'll just use it like this. I can't use Facebook's language and Facebook's post to be effective on Snapchat. It's its own world, but I'm willing to come off of Facebook and learn the language of Snapchat to reach who's on Snapchat. And that's how it is with preteens. If you love them, you're willing to go into their world. And the person I learned this technique and this strategy from is Jesus Christ. He left his world. He left his language. He had a kingdom language, a kingdom world, kingdom powers, and he left it all to come roll up in a little ball of flesh and be subject to gravity and subject to humanity. And he learned our language. He learned our, whatever. He learned how we communicate, and he got in that and grafted himself into it. He didn't become a sinner. He abstained from sin, but he became human. And through that, he could relate. And in all of that, we now have this beautiful relationship of someone we should not have a relationship with. So I think if you want to reach a preteen, number one, truly love them. Don't waste their time being fake. And then number two, go into their world, speak their language, learn what they're learning, look into their lives, do your research. And then if you have to embarrass yourself, go for it. Just start looking like a snack. I think that's all I have.
Thanks.